Hey all, and welcome to a new series where I showcase the strongest teams for a said set of games. I asked you guys in a community post on what you all thought were the strongest teams for FireRed and LeafGreen. In the comments, I saw a lot of unique options, and I have to say, I'm really impressed by the creativity some of you guys have. With that, I chose 4 teams that seemed really strong, and today I'm going to spotlight those and give you guys some new options for your FireRed and LeafGreen playthroughs. The viewers provide the viewer with new teams and experiences. You love to see it. With the teams I've chosen, I tried to give it a healthy mix between starters. That way you don't see too many teams revolving around a specific one. Also, feel free to suggest a team without starters either, as this can make things more interesting. As usual, Mystic reads. You know the routine. Let's get into these teams provided by you. So, the first team comes from Dolomite, who chose Venusaur, Vaporeon, Clefable, Ninetales, Magneton, and Aerodactyl. I love all the options chosen here, especially Magneton and Aerodactyl. I tend to usually choose Jolteon or Raichu as my electric type, but Magneton can certainly work as well, as you can find it in mid-game-ish. Aerodactyl is kinda late, being obtainable on Cinnabar Island after getting the Old Amber, but I think Aerodactyl can still prove to be rather fierce in the Elite Four, especially if you use it against the likes of Lance. It can also be used against Blaine. I never give Aerodactyl enough credit because it is late game, but it still shreds, and I believe it's also the best flying type for a Kanto team power-wise if we don't count the legendary bird trio. If you'd like to head back to Rock Tunnel as well for Rock Slide, you can totally go and do that too. As for the rest of the 4, Venusaur, I love. Vape is a solid bulky water type, and it's a mon I've used multiple times again and again. Plus, it has the ice coverage that water types tend to need. Clefable is fun because it acts the same way as Nidoking does in the sense that you can get it before facing Misty. Outside of Mount Moon 2, Mega Punch is also available, so you can already have a strong normal stab before even your second badge. Not to mention being a normal type also gives it access to the elemental moves of Flamethrower, T-Bolt, and Ice Beam. If you've played FireRed and LeafGreen, I'm sure you know where to get the TMs for these. I love the accessibility. Ninetales is version exclusive to LeafGreen, but what I love about it is that Vulpix gets Flamethrower via leveling up at a whopping level 29. The team does its job well, and I love that Aerodactyl is getting some love here. I really do need to try this thing out. The next team comes from Malachi Rodriguez, Charizard, Raichu, Primeape, Lapras, Dugtrio, and Snorlax. You know, I sleep on Charizard for Kanto, but it's actually pretty good. 1, you don't have to worry about a flyer. 2, you got a badass fire dragon. And 3, it gets Flamethrower without the TM and before it evolves. These mons are Pokemon I'm relatively familiar with, but I love that they're being used in tandem together. Pikachu is ready for Misty and can be caught in the Viridian Forest, plus Thunderbolt at level 26. Mankey can be caught super early and is the perfect partner for Charmander against Brock. It also carries its weight on the team as a fighting type for the remainder of the game. Lapras is simply bliss. Dugtrio is fast and hard hitting. The only reason why I choose Nidoking over it in most cases is because of coverage. But honestly, it's just as good. Snorlax is GOAT because it's the filler slot and is the bulky fat monstrosity a lot of Kanto teams wind up using. This is a pretty classic Charizard team, and I gotta say, I dig it. Please use this team. This team is pretty similar to my own best team for Charizard, and actually in some ways I like it a tad better because of Dugtrio's speed and of course, Lapras. The third team is going to be a Blastoise one, as I couldn't not include the best turtle. This team is Blastoise, Nidoking, Arcanine, Scyther, Hitmonlee, and Jolteon, and it was requested by Maverick280689. First and foremost, Blastoise is underrated. Very balanced Pokemon stats-wise, and can still hit as hard as all the Kanto water types. As for the rest of the mons, I've already spoken about them before, but I will give a brief rundown for Nidoking. Early game accessibility, early evolution by the time you get to the second gym, and of course, coverage machine. To me, it's the best ground type for FireRed and LeafGreen, but Dugtrio is practically neck and neck with it. The fact you can get Nidoking right before facing Misty is amazing. And you also get the Dig TM right after you talk to Bill. There's one Pokemon that really caught my attention though, being Scyther. It's a Fire Red exclusive, but if you are playing Fire Red, this thing is actually pretty dang good. Given that I usually don't talk about version exclusive mons a lot when I create teams, nor do I really recommend bug types unless it's something like Heracross where its fighting type is more valued, Scyther is actually pretty underrated, and it's something I discovered while also creating the mono bug type team for FireRed and LeafGreen. Scyther can be obtained at the Celadon Game Corner for 5,500 coins, or found in the Safari Zone at a pretty rare rate. Realistically, you can use Scyther against Sabrina and absolutely crush her. By the time you get to that point in the game, your Pokemon are either around the mid-40s range, if not the early 40s. Scyther gets Fury Cutter at level 46. And yeah, it's Fury Cutter, but every time you use it, it gets stronger. If you stack this with Sword Stance, as Fury Cutter doubles every time, Sabrina is gone. And the same can also be said about Lorelei. That is, if you're even lucky to set up against her. Regardless, you could have Scyther Revenge kill one of Lorelei's mons to get one Fury Cutter going. I tend to sleep on bug types most of the time, but Scyther is a pretty strong mon, and it also gets Aerial Ace, which isn't a bad flying type attack, or Wing Attack if you don't feel like using the Aerial Ace TM. This last team was requested by Shiny Hunter Linoon 777, with the members consisting of Venusaur, Gyarados, Alakazam, Snorlax, Jolteon, and Arcanine. Gyarados and Alakazam are the ones I tend to not usually talk about, due to Gyarados being more of a special attacker in Gen 3, and Alakazam being a trait evolution. Clearly though, both Pokemon are amazing, even with those restrictions in place. Gyarados may lack Flying Stab here, but it still gets insanely powerful physical attacks, regardless of if they're not Stab or not. A Dragon Danced Hyper Beam or Return is still going to cause major damage with a 125 base physical attack stat. That 60 base special attack though is pretty frustrating to look at, and it makes Gyarados unfortunately weaker than it should be. Alakazam, I don't really need to talk about a lot. This thing absolutely shreds with that monstrous special attack stat, and of course the Psychic move. Coverage-wise, it's alright. But that doesn't really matter when Psychic can just crush everything anyway. If you have access to Trait Evos or a randomizer option that allows impossible trait evolutions, use Alakazam. You don't need me to tell you that you won't regret it. Oh, and it also gets Shockwave for a little bit of coverage. Well, that wraps up your suggestions of the strongest teams for FireRed and LeafGreen. What did you guys think? Do you guys want more videos like this that involve the viewers? If so, leave a like on the video to let me know. What other strong teams would you guys use? Let me know all of that in the comment section below. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching my content. With Scarlet and Violet DLC on the way, we have a lot to be excited for. Not just that though, but I've got a bunch of other cool series planned throughout the year that I'm sure you guys will love. If you want to support my other forms of content, over on Mystic Reads, I read fanfics. One of them right now is Road to be a Pokemon Master Kanto Edition, where Ash and Serena start from the very beginning and journey through Kanto together. On Mystic Umbreon Shorts, I do other exclusive Pokemon content such as Pokemon Facts, and on Saturdays I upload my top 5 favorite Pokemon of a type. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an excellent day.